A couple of weeks ago, I permanently deleted my favourite to-do list app, Things3, which hurt because I've been using it for years and I paid a lot of money for it. Now, the thing is, I found something much better and, well, it's free. So this is my toxic trait. I cannot resist a task management app. I mean it. I reckon I've tried pretty much every single to-do list app there is, from the simplicity of Apple's reminders right to the out-and-out mad geekery of OmniFocus. I am a firm believer in taking the approach of, if it isn't in my to-do list, it just doesn't get done. Partly because I'm naturally quite forgetful, but also because life is pretty hectic these days and our brains were not built to memorize huge lists of things that need doing. As a result, I'm pretty picky when it comes to getting a system in place that I trust to hold all of that stuff for me, as well as being something that doesn't let me forget important things that I need to get done. For the last 7 years, and up until very recently, Things3 had been that to-do list for me. I hadn't found anything I liked better. As a Mac user, I wasn't put off by its Mac-only approach, and I liked the simple, clutter-free interface that allowed me to keep my to-dos in good order. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had my eyes turned. Superlist just entered the chat.
But first, a brief history of Superlist.
All the way back in 2011, an app called Wunderlist sprung out of the minds of a Berlin-based startup and took the productivity world by storm. It was pretty much universally loved thanks to its pioneering interface and its ability to work across platforms, including a really nice smartphone app. It went on to spawn iPad and desktop alternatives and even won Mac App of the Year back in 2013. And then, in 2015, it all changed. Microsoft announced that it would be acquiring the parent company, and well, Wunderlist slowly died off, and in its place emerged the product of the acquisition, titled Microsoft To Do, which is, fine. It's a Microsoft product, it's broadly fine. What? And I, along with most other productivity nerds, thought that this was the last we'd ever see of Wunderlist. And then something cool happened. A group of the people who made Wunderlist, led by co-founder Christian Reber, set out on a mission to bring it back. And last month, that team released Superlist. And I reckon this is probably what happens when you sell your cake and get to eat it anyway. So Superlist isn't Wunderlist, let's be clear about that, but it's taken a lot of its sensibilities. It's already available for Mac, iOS, Android, and web, with more releases planned. And let me tell you, this is a bit of a special app if you like your to-dos with a pinch of fun. It's still early days yet, so I'm gonna hold back on a full deep dive. If you want me to make a video on how I've set up my Superlist app, just let me know in the comments. But for now, here are 5 key reasons why I took the decision to delete Things3 from my devices, and I've fully embraced Superlist. Firstly, Superlist isn't really a task manager. As the name would suggest, it's all about lists. So a single list item can be a task, but it can also be a nice bit of formatted text, an image, or an uploaded file. And each of these can have a page after it which contains more information, maybe subtasks, notes, images, or more. I really like this. Now, when you start it up, you get a nice clean interface, but if you want to build levels of complexity to your setup, it's all there. You cannot do this with Things3. Secondly, Superlist looks gorgeous. I don't know why, but I just love the way that rather than having a boring grey divider line for formatting your lists, you get these little coloured squiggles on your pages. It's random and it's fun. And I like it, and it makes me want to make more of them. And it's not just pure aesthetics either. One of the things I used to get really annoyed with using Things3 was not being able to split out my work tasks from general life admin. So I know that I need to take the bins out every week, but I don't need to see that winking at me every Tuesday morning when I see what work stuff needs doing that day. Now in Superlist, there is a toggle that lets you switch off either one of these. So whilst you can put absolutely all your tasks in one place, you don't have to manage them all at the same time. This is a really simple idea, executed really well. Number 3, Superlist loves email. In fact, it likes it so much, you can use it to turn emails into tasks. Now, most people's email inboxes are a list of tasks anyway, so I thought this was a pretty cool feature. And it's one of several integrations that are already available using a linked Gmail account. You can basically have the app automatically create a task when you star an email, mark it as important, or add a label to an email. It's pretty clever too, so it doesn't just make a single task for an email, but it will summarize it into what looks like the most obvious subtasks as well. And then you can return to the email by clicking on any of these tasks. Nice. Number 4, as I mentioned earlier, it is a very early release. So at the time of making this video, it's not even been out a month. And that means that some stuff that you may be used to from older, more established apps just aren't there yet. So things like mobile widgets and the ability to run the app in a landscape mode on a tablet. But Superlist have a very ambitious and responsive development runway, and you can see all the features that are coming next. Some of these are no surprises like widgets, but there's some really cool stuff here like Notion integration, which is already in the planning. Finally, we've got to talk about the pricing model. Things3 is an expensive app. There's no getting around it. You've got to pay for every device you use it on. So that's this much for your phone, a separate charge for an iPad, a whopping amount for using on a Mac, and then if you're mad enough to have bought an Apple Vision Pro, they've already got a price for that too. So that's near enough $100 by the time you've installed it everywhere you'll want to use it. Superlist, on the other hand, well, it's free. Yes, there is a paid option that gives you some cool stuff like AI list making, shared lists, integrations with things like Slack and Figma, plus big uploads and storage. Actually, side note, the AI list creation is a pretty cool idea. You just tell it what kind of list you want to make and it has a pretty good stab at it for you. But everything else, all that functionality, being able to create unlimited notes, tasks and reminders, being able to convert an email into a task, and even having shared tasks with a limited number of people, that's all free. I think that's worth shouting about. So whether you're upgrading from something simple like Apple reminders or jumping ship from Things3 like me, Superlist is well worth a look, especially if you're into sharing tasks and integrating this with teams. It looks awesome, it costs nothing to very little, and they're developing it at a rate of knots. I've left a link down in the description. Now this video isn't sponsored, but I do get a kickback if you go on to take up one of their paid plans. So if you want to support the channel, then yeah, you know what to do. I'm pretty sure your productivity will thank you for it. If you enjoyed this one, folks, I'm sure you'll love hearing how I managed to improve my productivity in a really big way by teaching myself how to type super fast in just 3 days. That one is up here when you're ready. I'll see you next time.